Joined now in the pit studio by three-time Dover winner Rusty Wallace, NASCAR team owner Brad Daugherty. Let's talk about this whole big picture. Richard Childress says the car left the shop legally. It came off not legally. What are the possibilities something like this happened during the race?
It's a very good chance. I mean, any contact during the race might have caused this. I'm going to give the team the benefit of the doubt because I am a racer, and I know that things can happen during the race. So it could have happened during the race, and when they go through the appeals process, that's what they're going to have to bring up. Hey, the car was right when it got to the track, and after the race, we saw a little bit of damage, and that could have caused it.
You know, you hear them talking about the wrecker banging on the back end of the race car. I just have a tough time believing that caused that damage, because we see these race cars at Talladega and Daytona take severe beatings on that back bumper. I don't think that Richard Childress Racing came to the racetrack with the intentions of cheating. I think it was something that may have happened, may have been a little bit of an oversight, maybe a small mistake, which we're talking about hundreds of thousands of inches, so it could have been a little bit of a small mistake, and they got hammered on it because the rule is black and white.
As NASCAR phased in the new generation of race car, they went to this pass-fail approach to technical inspection, whereas in the past maybe some rulings were open to interpretation. Now this is the way it's going to be, good or not good. Do you agree with that approach, and why?
I do agree with the approach. I think NASCAR is doing a fantastic job inspecting these cars. They do have this no or go approach. My problem is these tolerances are so tight, it's unbelievable. When I was driving, those tolerances weren't that tight, and these guys have really got to fit that box perfect. So any damage can mess this thing up, and that's an ongoing discussion.
Well, I think the thing you have to realize is that with these tolerances, they do give a little bit of room, just like on speed road, pit road speeding. They give you the 5-mile-an-hour buffer. They give you a little buffer on some of these numbers. As an owner in this sport, I like it because that tells me that my competitors are going to be held to the same standards that I am, and it's all black and white. If I'm over by an incremental amount, I'm going to get hammered. If they're over by an incremental amount, they're going to be hammered. So there's no conspiracy theories. There's no judgments that are beyond that. The garage is rumors anyway, all the time. All rumors. So you can get past all that. You know what it is, black and white, for my race team or Richard Childress' race team.
Let's talk about the appeal. There are 38 members of the National Stock Car Commission. Their names are listed in the rule book. They range from former competitors like Buddy Baker and Waddell Wilson to track operators to people with backgrounds in other areas of the sport. 3 will be selected to hear the appeal that'll be held this coming Wednesday. Before you signed on with ESPN, before you bought into a race team, Brad, you were in that pool of people to hear appeals.
Yes.
What will happen in that room Wednesday?
It's just like going to trial. You will, Richard Childress Racing will bring in the crew chief and car chief, and they will sit down and explain to these people on this panel, which is 3 people along with George Silverman, and talk about what happened, why these things happened, and the result of what happened. And they're going to give their side. They're going to talk about the damage and what that damage led to leading up to it, the result. Then when they go out of the room, Director of Competition John Darby will come in. He will sit down. He will talk about what happened, what they found, and how they came up with a penalty. You know, what they saw, how it fit the crime. They all go out of the room, and in about 3 hours period of time, there's a judgment levied by that appeals commission. Now, it can be either to withhold the ruling, uphold the ruling, or to add to the ruling. So it can go any number of ways. It's a very fair and just process, though.
Knock it down, add to it, or do something different.
Yes.
You've had a penalty as a team owner in the Nationwide Series overturned in your favor recently.
I went to the appeals commission and told them about what happened, walked through the entire process. I actually brought pieces and parts with me, and this is when it was all said and done. They said, Rusty, you're legal. And so I won. That was good.
Well, that's the only way you're really going to. If they're going to have to prove damage in this, I'll practice law without a license, which I usually do. They're going to have to prove damage. If you can prove damage, you have a good chance of winning this. But in the rule book, it is black and white. And on that committee, you judge everything based upon it being black and white. There's no gray area. There's no this. So they're going to have a chance. It's got to be proven damage.
And what they're hoping for is a reduction of the rather severe penalties.
Yeah.
By the way, these penalties in line with penalties imposed on the 83 team last time a situation like this happened in October of 2008. 1999 to now, 132 appeals to the National Stock Car Commission, 2/3 of them upheld, 1/3 of them reduced or overturned, and a couple they actually added to the penalties. We'll see how it turns out this Wednesday. So given that he's now back 12th in points, how does Clint Bowyer race from here? Let's ask. He's with Dave Burns.
Yeah, Clint wins, and then NASCAR calls foul, and then you don't qualify so well on Friday, and then your teammate stands up for the company's honor. Where's your head at going into 400 miles today?
It's been a wild week. The BB&C Chevrolet was fast. We were, second, third, or fourth, somewhere along in there. Friday's practice before qualifying, and just tightened up too much. Kevin went out and got real loose. We tightened up. It was way too tight to run our lap. So we're going to start in the back, but our car was very fast, second and happy hour. I think we can drive up through them. It's a fun racetrack. A lot of rubber down on the racetrack. It's going to be a big part of it today. Sun actually just crept out for a second, so that bouncing in and out of the clouds is going to, play a role on today. But just trying to get all this stuff behind us. It's very unfortunate, what happened this week. Obviously, we're appealing it. We've got our opinion on a lot of things, and hopefully, if we get a fair appeal, I think we can, at least put some things down that it, raises suspicion. And, we're talking about 60,000ths of an inch. You're not talking about a huge margin of error there. And, the one thing that Denny Hamlin said that actually made sense was he talked about in Atlanta his car getting pushed around the track, and it knocked the whole deck lid off of it. I said, Denny, it didn't knock my whole deck lid off. It just knocked it off just a little bit. Is that possible? That's my only question.
Clint, do you have to win the appeal to win the chase?
Yes, to win the chase you do, but there's three of us to win the chase. It's important to bring that championship back to RCR, something that hasn't been done since Dale Earnhardt, and this is our best opportunity, and we got to work as a group to make sure that happens.
All right, thank you. Get focused. Good luck today.
David, thank you. Clint Bowyer getting ready to go from 24th position on the grid. Now, Clint mentioned Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's press room comments over this whole tech inspection affair led to a boiling of tempers on and off the track on Saturday. We'll pick up that story and much more when NASCAR Countdown continues from the Monster Mile.
In the garage, everyone's known it for months. It's not 2 weeks old. This is something that's been going on for months.
I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become. The darkness has begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster.
I spoke my mind yesterday, and I felt like I said, a lot of truth, and a lot of times that's not popular.
Well, Denny Hamlin's comments in the press room Friday certainly fired up Kevin Harvick. When practice began here Saturday, Harvick in the yellow car followed Hamlin out onto the track and bumped him and rubbed him and bumped him some more.
Loving on him.
Then loved on him a little bit on the front side of the race car, too. NASCAR called them both off the racetrack, and that led to this little discussion back in the garage area. Interesting times here in Dover on Saturday. Let's start with what you saw between he and Denny Hamlin here on Saturday. When you see something like that, what do you think?
Well, I mean, he's standing up for his team. This guy's a winner. He's been leading the championship all year long. Their car's been inspected numerous times. And Denny Hamlin basically called him a cheater. And Kevin Harvick's not going to take it. He got mad, Brad, and he went out there and beat on his bumper and said, hey, dude, I'm not going to put up with this mess. I'm not a cheater.
Yeah,
so I kind of like it. I like it a lot, matter of fact.
Let's talk about the fired-up Kevin Harvick we saw in the piece there, New Hampshire last Sunday. Kevin Harvick on the radio didn't have very kind things to say about his crew, his car, his strategy, and yet this guy's contending for a championship. Can they win a championship like that?
Oh, yeah. Kevin Harvick is very consistent, and everyone knows when he gets a little bit hot or pissed, as he says, what's going to happen. There's going to be wrath. It's going to be dealt down. But his guys love him because he's such a competitor. Kevin drove for me back in the Truck Series in the late 90s, and he is the guy that takes his racing very, very seriously. I'm a big Kevin Harvick fan because once he gets to this racetrack, it's all business. And if you're not all business when you're around Kevin Harvick, you're going to feel the prickly side.
It's a good thing he's all business at the racetrack because I don't know about that golf swing. Coming on. By the way, Kevin Harvick starting 33rd today. Another one of those show up in the top 5 at the end of the race days for Kevin. We'll have to see how the day plays out.
350 start, too, for him today.
There you go. You've been in this record book again.
There you go.